Oh, the wonderful contactor. Contactors are just heavy duty relays typically. Okay, they handle higher amperage loads. Okay, three good things you have to know about a contactor if you're replacing it. One, the all important coil voltage. You have to know what voltage the coil is. You can identify that by simply looking at the side. And you can see here on this one, there we go. This is a 24-volt coil. Okay, I've got another one here. And look right there. Zoom it in, zoom it in. There we go. 24-volt coil. Okay, I can only put these on a 24-volt system. If I put it on one that's 460, then it's going to get smoked. Okay, well, we talked about that with the relays. Another thing you have to know is how many poles. Okay, under here, this is a 2-pole. They've got a cover on, but I've got a switch, a pole in each side. On this particular one, I've only got one switch in here. Okay, the other side is a straight pass through. All right, this is a 1-pole contactor. Some people call it a 1.5. I don't understand why. And this will be a 2-pole contactor. Okay, you should replace with the proper number of poles for the one that you take out. But regardless, you have to know how many poles that you're going to be working with. The last thing is the amp rating of that pole. Okay, or number of poles, right? If we look on the side here, we can see that we have several things on our label. All right, and I've actually got those down here. The info on the sticker. We've got the voltage. We've got what we call full load amps. We have LRA, which is a lot of people call it lock rotor amps, which is going to be a higher number. And then we have the RES. That's the resistive amps. Okay, so if we look at this one, there we go. You can see that it's going to label voltage. Okay, so depending on how many volts you're running through this, it's going to tell you the amps for that appropriate number, right? FLA versus LRA. Okay, you'll see that the FLA, the full load amps, is lower than the LRA. And to make this real simple, your LRA is going to be the higher number because that's the amps when your motor's at a dead stop. Okay, you're starting the motor. It's still, you have to get that thing turning in order to in the case of the compressor, so it can pump. In the case of the fan, so it can turn the wheel. Okay, so your lock rotor amps is going to be a higher value than your FLA, your full load amps. All right. Most of the time when we talk about the amp draw on the poles, we're talking about the FLA. Okay. You can see here this one's rated for 30 amps. These are inductive loads, okay, for motors like compressors or fans. It's going to differ than the resistive load, which is on the other side, right? If we're using a contactor for a heat strip, this RES, this resistive load, is 40 amps because the resistive load is constant, okay? Inductive loads, they got some weird magnetic field things going on, and we're going to talk about that with motors, okay? But those are the three things. That's kind of a rundown on the sticker on the side of it. And of course, like I said, you've got your 24 volts over here. So coil voltage, how many poles you have, and then of course the load rating for what you're doing with that. Either a motor, an inductive load at 30 amps in this case, or if you're doing heat strips, the resistive load at 40 amps. Right? And I think that's it for contactors. Except for the fact that how do you check these things, right? Oh man. How do you check them? With the power off, I can ohm out the coil. Okay, I've got about 17 ohms on this coil. So if I apply 24 volt power to this coil, then it should move the switches, provided everything's working right. So if you have voltage here, but the switch is not moving, you could possibly have a bad coil, an open line, right? You can see here that I got OL. Oh my God, that's open line. There's nothing there. Yeah, there's physically a coil, but it's not connected on both ends, right? There's nothing in the middle. If you get 0, then of course that's also bad. We can also do continuity on our switch, right? This is a 1-pole, so this switch over here should beep. This one is the one with the switch, the 1-pole. It's not, Okay, contactors are normally open switches, unlike relays that can be either, right? Normally open or normally closed. Hey, and just like that, watch. Hey, there's our switch. Okay, so if you think you if you're going to check your switches, right, this is going to be the side of the contactor on this one pole that's doesn't have any switch, right? So it's always closed. It should always beep. This one over here is the one with the switch, so it doesn't beep until the switch closes. Open switch, no beep. Switch closes, and it beeps. Okay, maybe I should try this with one hand over here. All right, I'm going to push this. Right, continuity and ohms, if you remember, they go together. So when I close this, look at that. How many ohms should a switch have? A switch should have a no ohms. Okay, it is not a load. It passes power. It does not consume power. Only load should have resistance. So just some remembering on these contactors.